unbelievable hour of sports. Now, I take a nap because I'm getting older, and then we're going to do this again on our sister station, 103.9 and 98.3, The Fan. So we cover all the bases. We cover all the ESPN stations across the board. We got a great show for you today. And oh, no. Oh, shoot. So, well, you used to get that public service announcement. It's 10 p.m. Do you know where your kids are? Right. And in today's society, we can't wait till 10 p.m. So we're going to check in on my kids because I have to do my parental duty. So if you'll just indulge me here for a minute, I just need to talk to my son, Zach, who I believe, did we get Zach on the line here? Yeah. So we're going to talk to Zach and just check and make sure he's all right. It is 10 o'clock, and so I'm being a good parent. Welcome to the program. None other than one of my favorite people in the entire world, Zachary Scott Mitchell. Zach is his more affectionate name. How are you? And welcome to the show. I need to do my parental check-in. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing very good. I'm very honored to be on with you, talking with you. Thank you for having me.
Wow.
I'm doing good.
He's honored. All right, we need to go through the checklist. I need to be a good parent. Did you comb your hair today?
Not yet.
Oh, okay.
I will get there.
Well, I mean, combing your hair is relative these days, right? Because, the messy hair look is kind of in. So I guess
Right.
I guess it's not. What about brushing your teeth? Did you brush your teeth today?
I did brush my teeth.
Okay, good.
I did do that.
Did you put on clean underwear? That's the most important thing that we need to know that you've done.
I did do that. I put on clean underwear.
Okay.
Check that one off.
Check that one. Did you shower?
I did.
Okay.
I did shower. I've been up for a while. I got some things done.
Oh, good.
It's been a productive morning.
Did you make your bed?
Not yet, but I'm looking at it right now, and it definitely needs to be made.
Okay.
But that is something I will do.
And then the last thing, did you shave? Do you need to shave? You kind of have do you need to shave?
I got something going on, nothing crazy, but
okay.
Yeah, I definitely did, but yeah, it's not top of my list for sure.
Okay, so I'm being a responsible parent. You've got all the good things done. Just so you know, you've done a whole lot more than I have today. I'm sitting in my underwear here in the studio. I haven't showered, shaved, or brushed my teeth. So you're better. You're better than your own father. So congratulations. I understand that you have a shout out. Is there someone you want to shout out this morning?
I do, and hopefully he's listening. I just want to shout out to Peyton Johnson. He told me he's never had a shout out on the radio before.
Oh,
so
well,
I'm
Peyton.
His dreams come true. Shout out Peyton.
Peyton's one of Zach's really good friends, and of course, one of the fun things I got to do as a parent is to actually coach my son in his sports growing up, and Peyton was always on our team. So Peyton, hello and welcome to radio, and you've been shouted out now, so your life should change. I got to ask you a couple of questions since I got on here about sports. So will you indulge me in I want to understand what young sports fans think of things today. Can you help me out with that?
I can do that for sure.
All right. So you're a Jazz fan. One of our fun things to do, we go to Jazz games from time to time. We got to be honest with you. We haven't been to a couple when they stink. By the way, I don't know if anyone knew this, but Donovan Mitchell is a relative of ours, right? Didn't you have a picture with Donovan, right?
I do have a picture.
Yes.
I have a picture as evidence.
Yes.
Yeah, we're definitely related.
Yeah, he's like uncle, like way an obscure uncle from way back in the day, and so, anyways, that's our claim to fame. So you're a Jazz fan, and how do young Jazz fans actually cope with a rebuild?
I think it's hard, especially since we had a good team just a couple seasons ago. Growing up, it's hard when you have a change like this all of a sudden, and you lose all the players that you loved and the coach that you loved. And I think you kind of just have to hope and pray that you can come out on top through a rebuild. I guess that's the whole purpose of it all. So trying to, stay positive with it. It's hard to watch the team right now because, I think we're last in the Western Conference
Yeah, we suck,
Um,
Zach. That's all it is.
we're pretty bad,
We're bad.
and it's frustrating, especially just recently being pretty good. Um, you just have to stay positive. I feel like you have to hope and pray that this rebuild can work and that you can kind of get back to the position that you once were in. And
Do
that's
you
kind
ever
of how
find
I've been dealing
yourself?
with it.
Do you ever find yourself like, man, I'm gonna find another team? Because young people, you kind of have a short attention span, and you want to go
Yeah.
where. Does that ever creep into your mind, or are you loyal?
I try to stay loyal. I really want the Jazz to do well. I don't want to have to try to, hop on a bandwagon and go support some other team.
Right.
But it's definitely it's creeped into my mind for sure.
Okay.
But I try to stay loyal.
You wanted. Is there? Okay, you got your dad. You have my attention. You have my full attention. Is there something that you would want to ask your father about uh, a sports question? We can't get into life questions. I mean, we could, but that could get it might get uncomfortable. But let's talk.
Yeah.
Is there a sports question you want to ask me that maybe you never have, or something that's on your mind right now?
With the NFL Combine coming up, I kind of wanted to pick your mind a little bit on how you personally prepared mentally to get into the NFL and what your experience with the Combine was like as a rookie.
Oh wow! It was the worst experience of my life, and I had no idea about it. In fact, it was not long after I went to the Combine. I didn't fully understand the significance of it, or I was totally clueless. Like, I went into it so blind, and what it really is it's an evaluation of you physically. So that's
Right.
the biggest thing. So, are you strong? Are you fast? Can you move athletically? And there are all of these like things they try to measure athletic ability, and it doesn't necessarily relate to how you can play football. It's just how athletic you
Yeah.
are. And so I
Right.
didn't know how to train for it. Like, I didn't know. I didn't know from like strength training or speed development, or throwing, or a lot of those things. And so I wasn't really. I felt very unprepared for it once I got there. And I had my agent actually had players the next year that were coming into the draft, and they asked me about my experience, and they started to prepare. Now guys go to specialized training facilities, and they basically train almost from the time the season's over until they go to the combine. Now, is the combine the absolute end all be all? No, because um, it's a part of the equation, because they analyze everything about you, like your parents, where you went to school, how did you teach, how did you treat your teachers when you were in class, how you warm up for
Yeah.
a football game. Believe it or not, that's a thing that scouts actually like to watch. I mean, so they really do a thorough analysis of you, and the combine is just part of it. But it makes you feel like, and I think with all the attention to it, you feel like, oh my goodness, this is like my audition to try out, to be a movie star, or it's my big tryout.
Yeah.
And it actually, it isn't the biggest and most important thing. You just want to show, you just want to say, okay, this, like, there's no surprises. Like, this guy is actually fast. Like, I ran the 40. I actually ran it really fast. And then I never ran a 40-yard dash again in my life. Like, it just wasn't, it just wasn't that important. I did feel
Yeah.
humiliated by the whole thing, though. Like the whole
Yeah. I
experience for
mean,
me was just, it was horrible, because they poke you and they prod you, and they put you in the most vulnerable. Everyone has a combine picture, like,
Yeah.
and it's not
Yep.
very flattering. I don't
No.
know. I would think there might be a combine picture of me somewhere out there in the world, because because there's usually pictures of everything. But yeah, so
I'll
I
have
don't.
to find it.
Yeah, that's your homework assignment. Go find your dad's combine picture.
I'll see what I can do. I don't know if I can make that happen, but we'll give it a try.
So here's an interesting thing that happened my year. So my year was the first time juniors all came out in the draft. So we actually had a special draft or combine.
Okay.
So they had the regular combine for all the outgoing seniors, and then they realized there were hundreds of juniors, underclassmen, who were declaring for the draft, and so they had an additional combine just for the juniors because at that time they hadn't really scouted juniors, and so they didn't really know if we were good or not. And Jeff George, who was the first pick in the draft, was a quarterback from Illinois, and Jeff had a workout with a bunch of teams before he went to the combine. And the last thing they asked him to do, they said, just drop back and throw the ball as far as you can. And he dropped back and he threw the ball 80 yards.
Wow.
And all of the scouts and everybody that was there, because I actually ended up being on an airplane coming home from the combine with the pro personnel director for the Denver Broncos, and he was the one that told me this story. And he said the minute Jeff George threw a ball 80 yards, he was the first pick in the draft. He goes, in that moment, he became the first pick in the draft. And so Jeff and I went to the combine together because we were both juniors, and he didn't work out. He didn't do anything because he knew he was going to be the first pick in the draft. They'd already told him, and he had this incredible workout. And again, they didn't know a lot about juniors at that time, and so people just said, this guy can throw it a country mile, and he's our guy. And so there are things you can do definitely to improve your draft stock. So it's kind of an interesting thing. All right.
Yeah.
I want to talk about kind of your experience with sports. And I think parents today, they're so bent on having their kids do all these things, and they want them to do stuff. And I don't know, what did you feel like I was that parent? Like I forced you into sports and I demanded that you were going to do it, or how was I as a parent related to you as your sports experience?
You definitely made me feel like I had a choice whether I wanted to do it or not. I think playing sports growing up, it shapes you to be the person you are when you grow up. I think there's lots of valuable life lessons you can learn with sports, like learning how to work hard, working as a team. I think a big one is being able to overcome adversity. If you're playing in a game and you're down and you're going through all these hard times in the game, you have to learn how to come through it and come out on top. And I feel like there's lots of different things within sports that you can apply to life, with whatever it is you're doing. And I think it's important to participate in them as a kid. I really loved it. I made so many friends playing sports. I learned lots of lessons. I have some really awesome memories growing up. Traveling around, playing lacrosse tournaments all around, basketball, football. I enjoyed it all. I think it was a very big, important thing that I did in my life. And I think you can, as a kid, you can benefit from doing that. I think it helps you grow as a person.
One of the things that I hated and loved at the same time about you is, and I have all the holes in the garage to prove it, is that Zach had this lacrosse net, right? And we had this relatively big 3-car, it was big, and it was really a 4-car garage, but it was kind of 3 cars. So it's super long. And in the winter, Zach, lacrosse, what was always interesting to me, because I love baseball growing up, and so you started playing baseball, and it was boring. Like all your friends, you all hated baseball, and and it was just because there was no action, and you're like, man, I want to play lacrosse, and I thought lacrosse was harder, to learn how to control the stick and all that, but you just took to it, like a duck on water, and you would sit out in the garage. and in the winter, whenever. I mean, anytime you could, and you would throw lacrosse balls into this net. Now, you didn't always hit the net, and so and in fact, there's holes in the garage. I don't know how you got the lacrosse ball in those spots, but the drywall it looks like someone shot a gun and blew a hole in the garage.
Now you know how hockey parents feel.
Yeah. And you couldn't be mad about it as a parent, because you're like, man, my kid, he's loving this, and like, because I know how my experience was. Like, I just live sports. And so when I saw you just like, you just never wanted to put that stick down, and it was like, you put all the holes you want in the garage because, and so, and you do learn those things, and you learn how to stick with something and master it. And there's just so much value. Okay, Mars, are you sure we got to go to a break? Oh, man. All right, but before we go, because I'm enjoying this, and I hope the sports fans out there are too, because we have a great relationship, and I just, I love my kids, and we play golf together, and that's one of the things I really enjoy the most. And so I love it. We'll pick places and we'll go, as much as we can. The weather's good and it's really fun. So I have to ask you two questions. One is, how important is it to beat your dad in sports, specifically golf? And what has playing golf together meant to you?
I feel like it's important. I think growing up, obviously you played in the NFL. You're a professional athlete, and knowing that, me, not a professional athlete, was able to beat you in golf, and you are still good, but I remember playing when we were younger, and there's no way I could ever beat you.
I suck at golf, Zach. Let's just call it what it is right now.
Well, I do too. Golf's hard. I think most people suck at golf, but it's very rewarding to beat you.
Okay. I know the feeling, because I remember the first time I beat my dad in golf, and it was like one of those moments in life. So what has it meant to you for us to actually go out and play sports together and do fun things like that?
It means a lot. I think there's lots of ways you can bond with someone, especially playing, things like golf. I think it's a really good way for us to spend time. I really enjoy just finding new courses to go play with you. It's always been something I really look forward to, especially right now. Like, the weather's starting to get nice, and all I want to do is just go outside and go play golf, especially with you. I've always really enjoyed traveling with you and playing golf. It's just something I feel like we've been able to bond over, and we have lots of good experiences doing that, and I cherish them all. It means a lot.
It'd be okay if you said, this stinks, I don't ever want to go again. But it's true. Like, we really have a lot of fun, do a lot of fun things together. And all right, I've been a good parent. I checked in with my son here today. You're a good sport for doing this, Zach. We'll catch up again in the future and have more deep conversations about the meaning of sports in our lives. There he is, folks, none other than the great Zachary Scott Mitchell, my son. Thanks, Zach, and remember who you are, okay, when you go out today. So, all right, be good. Love you.
Thank you. I love you too.
All right, there he is. That's my son. I checked in. Really, I have wonderful kids, and we do a lot of fun things together, and a lot of things through sports. And I love that these are experiences that you get to do for the rest of your life. I can't play football anymore. I don't know that I'd even want to at this point, but I can go out and be active with my kids. And I think of anything that I do in my life, the thing that I cherish is creating opportunities to strengthen relationships with the people that I love and care about. And doing that with sports, or we go boating a lot. We do a lot of really fun things, paddle boarding, and it just really is an awesome way to have these great relationships with your kids. So there you go. That's my PSA. Parents, go be with your kids. Don't force them into sports, but man, encourage the heck out of them, because it's a lifetime of valuable things that you can do. We're going to take a break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about the freaking rules in the NFL and even college football and things that just really kind of, I don't know, turned my stomach. But rules are important. We got to live by rules. We're going to talk about them. This is the Down and Dirty with Scott Mitchell on ESPN 700 92.1 FM. Hello, sports fans. Welcome back. It is the Down and Dirty with Scott Mitchell. Our our little hour goes by fast. We're already into segment 2, a fun segment, and one that I'm always passionate about sports. But there are some things that I think get me more and more passionate, and I think what it is. So this whole thing with the rules, right? And the rules are always fluctuating. They're modified, they're refined. They have a committee in the NFL that talks about the rules, and you see some significant changes from time to time. So you have instant replay, you have how defenders can defend, how defenders can tackle, how offensive players can actually block, and certain rules. How much can you touch the quarterback, and you can't touch the quarterback. And just so you know, if the rules related to quarterbacks, if they were changed, I would still be playing today. You got the snot beat. What happens when snot? Is it knocked out of you?
You get the snot knocked out of you?
Yeah, that's what happened. That's the problem. I don't even know what it is anymore because I got hit so many times. Snot flying everywhere and all these, the crazy things.
How many 15-yard roughing the passer penalties would you have had on one drive to keep it alive?
I don't think there was ever a roughing the passer penalty ever called. I mean, they had to be brutally bad, and I do think there was some bias. If you were like a really good superstar quarterback and you got you got the snot knocked out of you, they might consider a penalty, but it was not often. And what happens in a game is you throw the football, right? Everyone looks at the football.
Right.
It's like when a baby's born. Like the baby comes out and everyone's focused on the baby. The poor mother's sitting there, she's half dead. She's in the most vulnerable position she could ever be in. And, there's still things that have to happen, like the placenta is still, there's like you're far from having things over and nobody cares. They're just like the baby came out. And that's what happens when you throw a football. You're like a mother who just delivered a baby and you're laying there just going, somebody help me. and you don't see how the defenders just like destroy you because everyone's off for the glory shot, and now it's certainly different than it was. And Ryan Clark, a longtime NFL DB with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and now he's an analyst on ESPN. I actually like what Ryan says quite a bit, and he's talking about the NFL's discussion as it relates to the tush push. And whether this should actually be banned or not, and so they're discussing a very sensitive issue, a body part that and they call it a tush push, like it's a soft, subtle thing. It's a violent, like they basically cram the quarterback into as many people as they can, and luckily he comes out of it. So do we have some sound from that?
We got
All right,
some.
let's listen to what Ryan Clark has to say.
Also, too, how soft do you have to be? Oh, we can't stop it. Our defensive tackles aren't tough enough. Our linebackers get hurt. Shut the hell up and bow your neck. Somebody get physical and stop the play. And as Mina says, though, it's like everything else in sports. If you don't have the personnel to do it, you actually don't do it. Trust me, right? Whatever team Matthew Stafford plays for next year is not implementing the tush push. Don't even trip. Don't even worry about it. Don't practice it. It's about understanding who you're playing, practicing, getting in the right gap. Look at the Kansas City Chiefs. The Kansas City Chiefs went into the AFC Championship with an actual plan for the quarterback sneak, with a plan to stop Josh Allen. Not only did they stop a 2-point conversion, but they also stopped the 4th down attempt, depending on where you thought the football was. And so to me, to go in there and be like, instead of actually coaching, let's run away from coaching and try to outlaw this play, it's dumb and it's soft.
Oh, amen, brother. Amen. And let me just tell you, think about what you're saying. If you're saying, oh, yeah, this is too hard to defend, it's not like they have a running back. It's not like they have an offensive lineman.
No.
They have the quarterback running a quarterback sneak. And just so you know, the worst play I ever experienced, and they made me do it all the time because I'm big, right? And it's like Scott can fall forward for a first down, which was true. And I ran a whole lot of quarterback sneaks in my life. And I'll just tell you right now, if I had the tush push today, because most of them I converted. There were a couple of them that I don't think I got. And there was one that was really questionable in my mind where they blew the whistle and then they ripped the ball out of my hands and called it a fumble. But that's neither here nor there. If you want to talk about being tough, cram the quarterback into all of those bodies and have everyone hitting him from the front, everyone hitting him from behind, and tell me that you don't have to be tough. And that your defensive lineman can't handle that. That I agree with Ryan Clark. That's absolutely insane. And the other part to me that's like makes no sense whatsoever is, okay, so someone has developed a play within the rules, and it's designed within the rules, and it's so good. Well, you have to ban a play because it's so good, right? And that's like takes away all creativity, all ingenuity, and it's ridiculous. It would be saying
it's like now
zone blitzes should be outlawed because it fools the offense because they think it's a blitz, but it's really a zone that they're running, but it looks like a blitz, and that's just too complicated. that's just not right. That's not fair.
Yeah.
It needs to be outlawed.
One I'm going to give you to kind of relate to this is obviously the onside kick. The onside kick is famous in Super Bowl 44 because New Orleans pulled it off right at the halftime.
Yep.
And now you can't do it. Now you have to. Now you have to say you're doing a 2-point conversion. Now you have to give the receiving team a chance to get their 2-point conversion team out there to receive a 2-point conversion. Not a 2-point conversion, onside kick that won't go successful. Like now you have to talk about that.
Yeah. The whole kickoff thing is kind of a joke, and it's really, I really question how much of an impact it actually has on the game. Because that strategy, that element of surprise, is a real thing,
right?
And it won a Super Bowl, and it did. I mean, it's a great point, Martin. But, yeah. So I'm just thinking now. All right, hey, we're gonna do an onside surprise. So we want to let you know that we're gonna surprise you with an onside kick, and here it comes. So don't be surprised, or be surprised, or. But it's supposed to be a surprise, and it's not, and it's just kind of a silly thing, very silly thing, and so these rules from time to time, and in a lot of ways they're good. Okay, there's a lot of good. The horse collar,
that's a good one.
Back in the day, it was like every time someone did a horse collar, someone got injured, and it's a
Charlie horse, a torn ACL,
just
Achilles,
an ankle, anything, and so those types of things, I can see where it certainly makes sense, but to outlaw a play because it actually is designed well. I think of another change in the league that took the league by storm, and the league really didn't know how to handle it. Was the defensive front alignment. So when the Bear defense, so they called it the Bear defense because the Chicago Bears ran it, and so it was the 45 Bear defense, right? So, and all that means is how many linemen and how many linebackers they had in the game, and essentially what they did is every person that was at the line of scrimmage, so tight end, all the offensive linemen. They had a player at the line of scrimmage lined up right all over them. So all you did is created a bunch of one-on-one matchups, and they felt that they could win one-on-one against you, somebody. At some position they had a strength. It was really hard to run against. There were certain runs you just couldn't run because they had too many guys there, because it was essentially an 8-man front, and so no one was prepared for it. And the 85 Bears just destroyed everyone. Now, the next year, everybody in football is now running from time to time that type of defense. My last year at the University of Utah, we played Fresno State the first game of the year. And they had never shown anything like this. So we go out, and they're running this defense against us. We don't know how to block it. And they just killed us. They just killed us. So the next week we played Nebraska, and we barely lost to Nebraska in a close game in Lincoln, and they just lined up in conventional defense, and they said, okay, the way to stop Utah. So I saw the Bear defense almost the entire rest of the year from people, and we got to a point where we could handle it okay, but for a while it was horrendous. And no one changed the rules. No one changed anything because of that. And later people learned how to deal with that defense, and so it changed things. Now, there was an interesting thing that happened, and it was a significant part of NFL history in how, and it wasn't so much that they changed the rules, but they changed the ability to interpret the rules, and they made it a lot easier. And it was with the extension of the goalposts. So Coach Shula was on the competition committee, but at the time, he was the coach of the Baltimore Colts. And they played the Green Bay Packers in the NFL championship game before they had Super Bowls. And the Packers kick a field goal to win the game. And if you watch it on film, clearly it is not good. but the goalposts were shorter,
Okay.
and so it was just up to the interpretation of the
judges
of the guy and the official. And so, of course, Shula said, "I was robbed of this because, clearly." And so that's when the NFL actually extended the goalposts up a whole lot higher. Not only were a lot of the kicks now going through the goalpost, but if they were going above the goalpost, it was a lot longer pole that guy could look up and kind of get his bearings to say yep or nope or whatever. And that was all because of a play that had happened in the NFL, and it needed to be changed. And so every time we would kick a field goal in practice and it missed, Shula would go, "Nah, that's good in Green Bay." and he hadn't forgot this, something that happened in the late 50s, right? And well, it was the early 60s is when it was, but he never forgot something.
Also, we were talking about this off air. Speaking of another thing that maybe the NFL should change or add it as a rule, is players getting hurt and falling on the ground to create a timeout. This is famous because I remember this was in the Indianapolis Colt and New England Patriot game before Super Bowl 41, when all the Patriots were trying to fall on the field and get more time and whatnot. I remember that in that AFC title game, but was that something prominent in your day? Did people try to stop you from your no huddle offense and say, "Hey, listen, I got a hamstring cramp or I got an Achilles cramp or something like that"? Pull a string.
So let me just start with this whole flopping injury thing, because it's a real rub for me to begin with, and I hate it in every sport. I hate it in basketball. I hate what Patrick Mahomes is doing with it, where he's kind of faking like he's going to go out of bounds, and then they kind of push him out of bounds, and he flies into the fourth row in the stands. And so if anyone understands sports, and you have a player that actually looks like that, like when they flop, like that guy has no business being on the court. Like if you're that unathletic, that's what happens to you with a little bit of contact, you don't belong out there. And that's my point, is because these guys are the most amazing athletes in the world, and at any of these sports. Biggest shock to me, biggest surprise, I went to the NFL. Still to this day, it was just the most obvious, biggest shock to me. Every single guy on that field, at every position, every offensive lineman, defensive lineman, at every single position, they all were incredible athletes. Like you're not some weak chump and you play in the NFL. I don't care where you are. And now some guys are better than other guys, but none of them are bad. Even the bad teams that don't win don't have bad players. I went to the Cincinnati Bengals, who had been a perennial, and I'm going, these guys have as much talent. They might have more talent on teams that I've, been on that have been very successful in the playoffs and won a lot of games. And so much of it is coaching and this and that, whatever. But so these guys don't flop. Okay, you don't flop. And one of the just great things I see in sports is when a player is laying on the field like they are dead. Like, get the ambulance, and I don't think their career is going to continue.
Get the stretcher. And
in 10 seconds, they stand up like nothing's wrong with them. Like, how do you go from zero to hero in that short period of time? I mean, it's quite an acting job. And so for me, I really think that somebody, if they're being taught this and they're being coached this, there absolutely should be fined. The coach, the organization, because that's not within the rules. That's like trying to usurp the rules, and it's trying to gamify the game and create this. It's absolutely ridiculous. And so if a player is caught flopping, they should be suspended. Like, they should be suspended. If it was to me, I'd suspend them for a year. I think it's more egregious to be a flopper than it is someone who cheats. Well, because it is cheating. It's embarrassing. Come on. You cannot tell me that you're this amazing player that does all these amazing things,
and then all of a sudden
you can't even stand on your own two freaking feet. And when nobody really even hits you. Like, it just should be completely outlawed. And it goes back to Ryan Clark's comment, which is something I agree. And so a lot of people are like, well, we're going to slow the game down because the offense is playing up tempo. Well, there's nothing in the rules that says you have to huddle. Like you just get the ball and there's a play clock. And you just got to get a playoff before that time expires. And so it's a huge advantage to you if you can go no huddle on a defense because it limits the communication. That means it limits the defenses they can call, and it really helps you out. And if you know you're going to play an up-tempo team, then prepare for it. Plan for it. A lot of teams do it. A lot of teams are very up-tempo. I'm a huge fan, just so you know, huge fan of up-tempo offense. And I think it's a really good thing. But I am so not a proponent and someone who says that, in any sport, I can't stand it in soccer. Like soccer is just embarrassing to me.
Yeah,
like it's one of those things that I go, is soccer real? Because I'm not into fake sports. I know a lot of people are into the fake wrestling thing, and I actually asked The Rock that. I interviewed him once before he was a famous movie actor. I says, "Is this real? What you do?" And he kind of looked at me with that raised eyebrow and says, "Don't ask that question. I'll have to kill you." And I'm just like, whatever. It's just wrestling's a fun escape from reality, and that's fine.
Right.
People do it. I know people that love it and they're passionate about it, and it's all good. But as far as sports goes, do not flop ever. And I just think of Chris Paul. I think of James Harden. I think of Luka just whining and all this stuff, and it just grates on me. It gets old on me, and we need to put a stop to it. And the way you put a stop to it is you find coaches, you find organizations, and you suspend players. And I'm not joking about suspending. I'm joking about like for games.
Yeah.
Suspend them for a game. You're a flopper, you're out. Like you're out, and you need to go take athleticism courses to become more athletic. Because this is just absolutely insane and ridiculous.
I'm gonna clip that. You need to take more athletic classes to be more athletic. That's a good one.
Something. All right. Well, let's take a break. We'll go on. We'll go up from here. Don't change and don't outlaw the freaking tush push. Maybe you should outlaw the name.
Tush push?
Yeah, because it's kind of soft. I don't know. Make it.
It really should be called the Bush push because it was Reggie Bush who did it versus USC versus Notre Dame.
Well, back in the day, it was illegal. It was against the rules to actually aid and assist another player, and they changed those rules. And so when they did, they go, okay, well let's push a guy forward.
Right.
Then it becomes rugby, right? So now we've become rugby. I think we're going to play a game. Is that correct? All right. When we come back, we're going to play a game. Hey, and you, as our loyal fans, are welcome to play with us. This is the Down and Dirty with Scott Mitchell, ESPN 792.1 FM. All right, sports fans, welcome back. It is the Down and Dirty with Scott Mitchell here on ESPN 792.1 FM. The show rolls on. Thanks for joining us. We love having you be a part of what we are doing. There was a post, an X post, and a Utah fan posed a question.
Yes.
And it was an interesting question. And the question is, this person, I'm going to assume it's a male.
Yes.
But I won't make that assumption. So this person said, Utah, meaning the state of Utah, has now become a hockey town. And it's no longer an NBA Utah Jazz town. He also said that the hockey team would win before the Jazz would win a championship. Is that correct?
Yes, that's right.
And then there was one more.
So it's a tweet it's from a Utah fanatic on Twitter. He said that Utah is becoming a hockey team more than it will be ever a true loyal NBA town. It's Utah Hockey Club will win a championship for the Jazz, and Utah will become an MLB team. They'll achieve a championship before the Utah Jazz reach the second round.
So he's swinging for the fences.
He's swinging for the fences. Change his mind. Why is Utah not going to be a hockey town? It will always stay as a basketball town.
Great question. And here's what I think.
What?
I think he's a massively deep, loving Utah Jazz fan who his soul is wounded.
Yeah,
he's in major pain right now.
Yeah.
And he has and so what he's done is he's like, you're dead to me. Right? You are dead to me. It's that old saying, hell hath no fury like a scorned woman.
Yep.
Same thing, like a true deep fan, that hell hath no, like a scorned fan.
Yep.
So that's what I'm reading between the lines here.
Right.
And he really is like basically saying, Ryan Smith, Justin Zanuck, Danny Ainge, I'm begging you. I don't want these other sports to be the best.
Mm-hmm.
I want the Jazz to be the best.
Mm-hmm.
But guess what? You got some competition now.
That's a good point.
Now let me just throw this out there. What if the NFL came to Salt Lake? It's over at that point, right?
Absolutely.
Like everything else is just like, second fiddle. Now, I will tell you, when I was in Detroit, they had some, they had the Pistons who were great, won championships. The Tigers, Major League Baseball, won championships.
The Red Wings.
Everywhere I played, football was king, but not in Detroit.
No.
Not then.
No.
Now, their fans were like this guy right here. But the fans were, it was like Hockey Town, USA. And that's what it's known for. Red Wings, massive fan bases. I mean, there's just nothing better than playing or watching and being a part of a Red Wings game. I mean, it's one of those bucket list things you got to do in your life. I'm just telling you, it was just incredible. So
that's a good point.
Interesting thing happening there. Before we get out today, we're going to play a little game.
Yes, we are.
Martin came up with a game.
Yes, I did.
And so you can play along, and I'm going to let Martin lead the discussion here.
So
on let's play a game.
Yeah, so we're going to play Who Did You Throw To? And this is a guess on Scott Mitchell's career. He has 18 career long balls that went past 25 yards. 18 career touchdowns like that, Scott, in your career.
Okay.
August 31st, 1997, you threw a 43-yard pass against who to who?
Wait, say the dates again. I'm just thinking of, because you mentioned who I threw the ball to, and I'm just like, this isn't the interceptions I threw.
No, this is not an interception.
I have had a couple of pick sixes, by the way.
So August 31st, 1997.
Barry Sanders.
43 yards against who first?
Tampa Bay.
No. So you threw against the Atlanta Falcons.
Whoa.
And you threw to
Johnny Morton.
Yep.
1997.
Yep, and we have that play right here.
Look at that. Scott Mitchell drops and finds Herman's Moore. A little underthrown, 43 yards, though. It's a touchdown, 7-3 Detroit.
Yeah, and what
Why does he got to say a little underthrown? I always underthrown the ball to Herman Moore. It was by design. We talked about it when he was on the air. No, it was a little underthrown. Yeah. Oh, man.
So we're going to play this game a little bit more. It's the only one I had for today. But so.
Oh, it's the only.
Well, I have a few more, but we can play one more.
Let's do one more.
All right. So,
I like playing games, by the way.
Okay. So in 1993, October 24th, you're at home with the Miami Dolphins. Who did you throw to, and who did you play against?
I'm going to say the Buffalo Bills.
Okay.
Is that correct?
No.
Oh, man.
Who did you throw the ball to?
I'm going to call it Mark Ingram.
All right, you got Mark Ingram right, but
Okay.
it's a 44-yard pass. It's Miami, but you played against the Indianapolis Colts.
Oh, and it's in October, huh?
Yards to go for the first down. Wide open is Kirby. Kirby to the 5.
Oh.
Touchdown,
Oh,
Miami.
no.
Kirby, sorry, I got that wrong, but it's Kirby. But
Hey, you're playing this game. You can't fool me. Yeah,
I thought it was
okay, now
Ingram too. But
here's the crazy thing about that, okay? I actually don't remember the throw to Herman Moore, but I do remember the play to Terry Kirby.
yeah,
So he was a running back, very good player, played a long time in the NFL. He was great. Love Terry. And he was supposed to run out of the backfield and just run a little short option route. So option means you can go left or right, okay, or just sit. Right. Just wherever the hole is, find the opening.
Jason Witten type
and,
play.
and just just get open. A little option. You have an option to do whatever the defense tells you, but you do not have the option to just take off and go down the middle of the field, right? So Terry comes out of the backfield and he's like, there's nobody there, and he just runs right down the middle of the field. And then I go, okay, well, I guess we're throwing it down the middle of the field, aren't we? And it was a good choice on his part. It was a great route, and I was able to improvise and throw him the actual touchdown.
What was Don Shula's face on the sideline as he threw that touchdown? He came back. You're like, what did he run? He didn't run the option.
Well, one of the beautiful things about playing for Coach Shula, it was not only were you expected to change plays if the defense dictated it.
Really?
You were highly encouraged, and you'd actually be more chastised if you didn't take advantage of an opportunity when you saw it. Wow. I mean, from day one, I called my own plays in practice, called a lot of them in a game, so that you come over and you score a touchdown. They're never going to say anything, and it wasn't like that with other teams I played. There was a lot more control from the coaches. It's like, you're going to run our plays, you're going to do our thing. And it's really sad because it takes away that creative bone in your body. You kind of, it's like they coach you into mediocrity as opposed to really, really accentuating your ability to improvise. And I think it's one of the things that Patrick Mahomes does better than anyone, is that ability to improvise. Josh Allen does a lot of it, and it sometimes the defense wins and they do a good job, and then what do you do? And you got to be able to be flexible and move around and do whatever you can to kind of change things up a little bit.
So we're gonna play this more often on the show. We have 16 more plays to go through. We have 16 more long balls. We can't finish them today, unfortunately.
No. That's fine. We'll get to more of them, but we'll have other games too, because I got some fun games.
Yeah,
I'm gonna actually make you and even the fans figure out.
Ooh, I like that. All
right. Been a fun day today. Really appreciate everyone tuning in to the Down and Dirty. Thank you, Martin, for pushing all our wonderful buttons and pushing my buttons. I need my buttons pushed, so I appreciate that I have someone out there. And, of course, I appreciate my son, Zach, coming on the show for a bit, and I hope you all enjoyed that as well. This is the Down and Dirty on ESPN 792.1 FM. Coming up now is none other than the Sean O'Connell Show here on the ESPN 700 network.